Hey guys, it's Vaughn, and today I'm going to be sharing how I do my own knotless feed-in braids DIY style. I'm sharing every single detail of this process, including styling, maintenance, and if you stay tuned to the end, I promise you'll see the finished results. Let's go ahead and get started. I already know I'm going to be here for a while, so I got my snacks and beverages on deck. This is not my first time braiding my own hair, by the way. Got my starting lineup, my hair clips, my bristle brush, my rat tail comb, leave-in conditioner, styling foam, and my favorite edge tamer. For today's set, I'm using one of my favorite types of braiding hair to use, and that's the pre-stretched stuff. It saves me so much time. This is the kind that can be set in hot water. I'm using a beautiful blonde ombre. The length is 24 inches. Can't do anything shorter. That's about waist length on me. I originally bought 6 packs of hair. I only used 3 and a little bit of the 4th pack. I did not end up having to pre-soak this hair or anything like that because the bleeding was very minimal, almost none at all, so I was really pleased about that. I really like this hair, you guys. One of the first things I noticed about it is that it was really soft and lightweight, which I love, and it almost seemed tangle resistant. Like it was really difficult for the hair to tangle. One of the first steps I like to do is get the hair out of the bag and separate all of my feed-in sections. I probably take about maybe 1/4 inch for each one, and I lay them out by the 3s on my bath towel because I'm putting 3 sections of feed-in into each braid. I know a lot of braiders like to use the thread spool holders for the hair sections, but this is actually perfect for me. I just hang some of the hair on my bathtub knobs and put the rest on the big bath towel, and it works out. Before we get started, I wanted to show you the state of my hair. It's not freshly washed, but it is clean. I'm reaching for my handheld mirror so that I can see myself doing the parts, and I like to start from the back. This entire process for me takes about 7 hours, and most of that time is making sure that these parts are straight. That takes the absolute longest time out of everything. To be honest, the braids are quite quick, but I spend a lot of time just staring at my parts, making sure that they're right, because once you start braiding, you cannot go back and fix that part. I mean, you kind of don't want to, so you want to try and get it right the first time. And I kind of start from the back to get the hardest part out of the way first. So I'm going to definitely saturate my hair with my favorite leave-in conditioner. This thing right here is the bomb, you guys. I saturate the hair really well with this because this ensures that my hair stays moisturized, and when I take these braids down, my hair still looks good. It doesn't look warped, it doesn't look dry, it doesn't look brittle. This is just some footage from my last set of knotless box braids that I did, and I just wanted to show you guys how moisturized my hair looks when I'm taking the braids down after weeks of wearing them. That's because of this leave-in conditioner. All right, so next I'm just going to apply some of that edge tamer to the root of my hair. This is going to help with frizz and make the braids look nice and finished and shiny. And then I'm going to also apply a little bit to the end that's going to help me with the blending. Okay, first things first, getting started with the braid. You want to separate the hair into 3 even sections and start your braid like you're getting ready to do a whole braid. Then you're going to stop with that finger that's sticking up. You're going to loop some of the braiding hair onto there and then braid it in. When that finger pops back out again, you're going to loop another hook of that feed-in hair onto there and then loop it in and continue braiding. It's super difficult to show and explain this, and I realized that as I went on. So further in the video, you will see a slowed down version, so definitely keep watching. So I'm just going to keep braiding down using those 3 groups of braiding hair that I had laid out. I'm using my rat tail comb to kind of smooth down my natural hair so that it really blends nicely into the braiding hair. And you kind of start to see why I used that edge tamer on the ends, because it really blends in nicely. Another benefit to starting your parts in the back is that you can really start to kind of stack your braids on top of that. It really helps with like keeping them proportioned and even. And then you can also apply a technique where you kind of make the braids look like they're kind of laid down bricks. That really looks good on the finish. So it's a lot you can do with your parts, right? You can keep it simple, you can make it really artistic. If I was doing someone else's hair, I would probably kind of go all out with the parts, but I'm keeping it simple because it's hard enough as it is. So after a few braids in my first row, it's time for me to go ahead and refill my feed-in hair section station. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now, in this next segment is where I'm going to really try to detail what I'm doing with this braid. So go ahead and start off like you're braiding. Once that finger is sticking out, it's time to go ahead and loop that piece of braiding hair onto there. And then you're going to continue with your braid. Once that finger pops out again, as you guys can see here, once you drop that loop of hair onto your finger, right, your finger becomes the midpoint of both of those hanging pieces. You use that as an anchor, and then you have the 2 areas where you need to braid into one another, using your finger as the anchor for the middle point so that the hairs can go in the direction that you want them to go. When that finger pops back out, like it's doing here, you drop another loop of hair on it. Just make sure when you drop that hair that it's tightly pushed up against your real hair and you have a good grip on it, or else you're going to have some loose braids and bits of hair sticking up, and you don't want that. It's unsightly. I did have to go through that process when I was first learning how to do this, so everyone has to learn. But yeah, after I finished my first row, it's like, whew, because that first row is a doozy. After that, you're pretty much just building onto your first row. So it becomes a little bit easier with your parts and stuff. And as I approach my second row, I'm going to actually set my part in the middle this time and braid in either direction from that because it makes it a little easier.
I got bands for real. Diamonds on me, they bands for real. I'm on that thing when I feel like yo shit. Ain't going broke on your back on my own shit. Catfish, little bitch, shut the fuck up. You let me beat it up, you let me practice. Now I'm finna lay you on a mattress. Next,
oh my God, girl, these parts, they will take you out, honey. What you guys see here is progress at the 2.5 hour mark. From here, I'm really gonna work in very specific sections because the top of my head actually is a lot more surface area than the back, so this is gonna take me a lot longer than it looks, and putting it into sections helps me to manage it. Otherwise, it's kind of overwhelming. I feel like when I braid my hair in sections like this, especially as we get closer to the crown, I have a lot more range of motion with the braids, which gives me a lot of flexibility when it comes to styling. Already, we're in the final phase. I've just got one braid left to go. I'm just going to tackle it like I have all the others, applying that edge product and my leave-in conditioner. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I am not braiding the braids all the way down to the ends because they're just gonna unravel and I'm gonna have to do it all over again for the final step. So I'm braiding it close to the bottom and then I'm just putting like a hair tie on it to hold it in place. I think the main idea is to try to braid past your real hair because that's definitely not a step you want to revisit later, but not to waste your time braiding it all the way to the ends because it's just going to unravel and you're going to have to braid it again. So in this next step, I'm going to show you guys how I address these ends, how I go ahead and seal them and set them and keep them from unraveling. So let's go ahead and move to the kitchen. I got my pot of boiling water on the stove here and I'm showing you guys a section that I have already dipped and it's looking pretty sealed and pretty good. I did have to dip them a couple of times, you guys. Here's the deal with this hair, you guys. I don't know if it was because it was a very highly lifted ash blonde or what, but the hair was not setting with just hot water. It needed to be raging, boiling, and I had to dip every section like 2 or 3 times in order for it to actually set. It did eventually work, but I was kind of worried at first. I had to go and reread the packaging like, this said hot water setting, right? Because it really wasn't working until I did it a few times. But eventually it set pretty beautifully. And then another thing I noticed about this hair, you guys, is that because it's a really light color, you can really see all the flaws. So I really had to go in and groom the hair quite a bit once I did the hot water setting. So I was doing a little bit of trimming on some of the ends and getting some of the flyaway hairs out of the way because it's super noticeable on this light colored hair. So I mean, it's cute and everything. I really love the color, but you just need to be really careful with these really light lifted blondes because it can have a tendency to look a little ratty. It can start looking old real quick. So you just have to take a little bit extra care. But other than that, the hair is super lightweight, so it's not like all heavy and stuff. Really easy to style, really easy to like sleep with this hair and all that stuff. So I really loved that aspect of it. Now, I know some people like to deliberately leave baby hairs out. I didn't do that because I don't really have to because I have actual baby hairs. Like the hairs around my perimeter are very, very tiny and thin. So I already knew they were gonna be hanging out anyway. So I just went in with some of my edge control and my rat tail comb and just kind of brushed them down. And the whole baby hair sculpting thing is something that I have to address almost on a daily basis because it never lasts. And with this next step, I'm just going to apply some of that mousse, some of that foaming lotion to kind of the area where my parts are. This is just going to help mold everything down and make it look really nice and shiny. The same thing with my shine mist, just something to put on there to just kind of set the hair. I'm going to follow up with my scarf just to, you know, lay everything down. And this is my routine for bed. And by doing this at night, this is really just preserving my hair so that all that hard work doesn't go to waste when I wake up in the morning. But I don't have to do this every single night, but it's really good to do it the first night. And these braids were so easy to sleep in. It almost didn't even feel like I had braids in. Now, I want to show you guys a little bit of maintenance. This is how I wrap my hair up for showers because a couple people did ask me about this. All I do is create somewhat of a bun right at the crown of my head. And then I tuck all of this into my satin lined cap, but you could probably use any type of nightcap that you normally use, but this one is long so it all fits in there. And finally, I wanted to share how I dress the braids up. Now in this footage, this is about almost a week later after I installed the braids, so the hair is a little bit old, but this is perfect because I really wanted to show you guys how this hair wears over time. The next time I do this, I will definitely get longer hair. This is the 24 inches, but I like it to be just a little bit longer. But overall, my styling options are vast. I can do whatever I want with these braids. I can do part down the middle, part on the side. It's really got a lot of flexibility, and the hair is so lightweight, it doesn't bother me to style it in many different ways. I would have to recommend this hair, you guys. I really love it, but also this technique, the knotless braiding technique, you guys. It is painless, long lasting, and looks super natural. I absolutely love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye.